So it was almost a year ago now. I made a video on the Monster Girl Quest mod for U4. It was pretty interesting, so I decided to play the game it was based on, Monster Girl Quest Paradox RPG, and it was actually really good. I should immediately address the obvious though. This is a hentai game, so if you're too young or are disgusted at the idea of hentai games, you can leave immediately. I will give the defense, though, that it's entirely enjoyable without the hentai element. I disliked it, even, but I still liked the game. I'll explain it more later. Let's go to the beginning. Monster Girl Quest Paradox RPG. It's a sequel to the Monster Girl Quest games, which I tried once, but they're more like a visual novel trying to be RPG, and I didn't really like it. Paradox absolutely is an RPG. I'd say it's in a genre of, like, absolutely massive, excessive content Japanese RPGs. I haven't actually played many others, but I've seen them around. Disgaea, Shin Megami Tensei, it's spin-off Persona, probably. I think some of the Digimon games are like this too. I haven't seen this genre defined before, but like I've seen this like trend, and if you don't know what I mean, I can show you pretty quickly with the tutorial area of the game. After you get through a quick dungeon, you get to Ilias Temple, where you can change your party members, jobs, and races. Whenever you beat an enemy, you get experience that contributes to levels, which are mostly your stat increases. Then you also get job XP, which contributes to leveling up the jobs and the races. So here's the list of basic jobs. You can select most of these from the beginning of the game. They unlock skills to use in battle, out of battle, and abilities you can equip, even if you switch to a different job. The jobs finish at level 10, at which point you'll likely be able to select an intermediate job. Most of the basic jobs have a few intermediate jobs they can lead to, and once you've reached level 10 in those and gotten late into the game to start unlocking them, you can get advanced jobs, and here's the list of all of those. The job system's a lot like a massively expanded Final Fantasy V job system, where you get to carry stuff over from previous jobs. So I know that's a lot of jobs. But don't worry, here's a room full of 18 walls of text you can talk to that will tell you about what all the different jobs are like. And don't worry, there are more jobs than people here, so it'll get a few more walls of text showing up later. Oh, and the jobs change what you can equip, so you want to go upstairs and talk to these people to learn about the 17 types of armor, 31 types of weapons, 21 different status effects, and this person tells you about the attributes that aren't actually that excessive in number. And wait, I said you can change the character's race too. What does that mean? Well, our starting character is just human, we can't change that yet, but we're recruiting monster girls into our party, and they all have a bunch of different races. Here's the list of that. These are just like jobs, really. They unlock skills in battle, abilities you can equip, change what equipment you can use, and you keep any abilities you unlocked from previous ones, with the major difference that they're restricted based on the character. So we have a slime girl from the start. She can only be a slime for now, but later most of these 26 basic races will have 3 more intermediate races, and again for advanced. That's a lot. Better head downstairs to the room full of 24 walls of text about each of the basic races to learn what they do. So yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot. You don't have to overwhelm yourself with it too much though. You can just keep every character on their default job and race, and learn what the jobs do as you get them or decide to use them. And you're going to be mastering a ton of jobs anyway. You don't have to worry like, oh, you didn't switch Luca to start learning Merchant immediately? Time to restart. You can just learn the other jobs later. And there are some items to help you catch up on job experience. And also Merchant is like the worst job, you should not actually switch to that one. So I like this kind of thing. This is nice once you stop worrying about the excessive number of options. You can choose from this huge list for what jobs you want your character to be, then you can start choosing other jobs that work well with those ones, or the particular character. Oh yeah, in addition to the jobs and races, there's like 200 different recruitable characters in the game, many of which have different combinations of available races, and all of which have a unique ability that is entirely unique to that character. Some of which are almost no impact, but most at least give them a category of skills that they'll always be able to use, even if they aren't a class that normally gets those. And there's some stuff like this group of 4 characters that get plus 15% to every stat for each one of them that are in a battle together, or this character that just double casts all black magic. So in simple terms, there's a lot of options and some pretty complex RPG mechanics that I really like. I also quite like the story of the game. It's actually pretty deep. I'm not like an expert on describing stories though. It's a big adventure through a big world. All the towns feel different. They're all interesting places. The world was pretty good, I think. I see why somebody made an EU4 mod about it. Funnily enough, it actually makes sense. It's fun to explore it. The world is pretty open. Like, almost the whole first continent is open to you from the start. You can mess around and do stuff out of order if you want. There are good characters. Actually, something crazy. Even though there's over 200 recruitable characters, they all have tons of unique dialogue. Like, go into a town and most members of your party will probably say something by the end of the visit. Major story events can have them say more things too. I have no idea how all that writing got done. There is so much writing in this game, it's astonishing. And speaking of things that every character has, the thing I mentioned at the beginning. So the thing about that these are real monster girls. Like, it makes me think of monster fucking discourse from Tumblr. This isn't woman with green skin and weird ears as a monster. This is like look at this thing. Have you ever really wanted to have sex with a slug? No, I don't mean a woman that's like slimy. I mean a gigantic slug that has a human face on top. No, there is not a normal woman under there. It is just a slimy mess. What I just said isn't exactly true. There's a few monsters that are just like an elf. But even among the elves, then you have the elves with the giant tentacles with mouths on them. So basically, I just think it's all gross. I don't like the hentai scenes. So for people like me that don't actually like it, it's pretty easy to avoid. You just hold down the A key, and it skips all the text really fast, and it's over immediately. Very useful. So that's mostly my thoughts on it. It's a good game, you have a lot of choices for putting together your party, there's a big world you can explore. Also, it's a hentai game, maybe you like that part. Big downside of the game though is it's a bit difficult to assemble it. I played it and most of this when it was in 2 parts, the 3rd part released very recently, and I figured I should just release this for you quickly rather than go and play through it. Also, the translation's not quite done yet. I don't really understand how the 3 parts thing is supposed to work. The website is entirely in Japanese, and the game isn't officially translated, so if the developers aren't translating it to English, then clearly they don't expect English speakers to buy it, which can simplify the downloading a bit, though not completely. It's still kind of weird to figure it out. Sorry if I've convinced you to try it, then I just leave you to figure out how to install and translate it. The translation patch is another obstacle. It isn't actually that complicated, but it is weird, so it might take a bit to figure out. At the top of the description is a link to where I got the translation from, and there's a pretty clear guide there. I wrote this in April. I just had some recording issues and then prioritized other videos and forgot to actually do this. Anyway,